My dearest child, listen closely, because what you are about to hear is not a message that everyone is prepared to receive. It has reached you at a moment when your heart is ready to reflect on it. You may believe you simply opened this by chance or happened to pause here for no particular reason, but this moment feels meaningful for you. The timing. The quiet feeling that drew you here. The unexpected curiosity you couldn't ignore. Everything you have experienced has led to this moment. Nothing about your arrival here feels random. There is a reason this message found you now, and it comes at a time when your heart is ready to hear it. Take a deep breath, quiet the noise around you, and listen carefully, because we are about to speak about a woman, someone who knows you well, someone who has been close enough to observe your habits, your routines, and the way you think. This is not a simple thing. The story about a stranger, not an outsider, not a distant voice fading in a crowd. This is about someone who once stood close enough to call herself trustworthy, close enough for you to never doubt her intentions, and close enough for you to believe that she would never harm you. You allowed her into your personal space. You shared your thoughts with her, and you believed the image she presented to you was real. But my child, darkness does not always come wearing a mask. Sometimes it smiles, and sometimes it pretends to care. Sometimes it hides behind gentle words and familiar faces, masking its true intent with a facade of friendship. Right now, at this very moment, this woman is sitting somewhere alone, clutching a report that has completely shattered her world. The atmosphere around her is heavy with fear and realization. Her fingers are trembling so violently. She can barely keep the pages still. She is looking at information that has stripped away her confidence and replaced it with a terror she never thought she would face. Her breath is unsteady, uneven, breaking in her chest like fragile glass. She reads the words again and again, hoping the letters will change, hoping the diagnosis will rearrange itself into something less terrifying, less final. She is desperate for a difference. The truth remains in black and white, cold and unforgiving, staring back at her with a certainty she cannot escape. She is confronting a reality that no amount of money, influence, or manipulation can change. Her body is failing, my child, but you must understand the root of this failure. It is not because nature chose this path for her, nor is it because her time just happened to arrive. This is not happening because of something genetic or unavoidable. No. Her body is collapsing under the weight of a seed she planted with her own hands. These are the same hands that once reached toward your downfall, hands that you thought were there to hold you up, but were actually working to pull you down. She is in the advanced stage of a condition that did not appear overnight. It did not grow in a month. It has been forming inside her for exactly the amount of time since she tried to harm you. She didn't expect it. She never imagined that the very trap she crafted for you would become the cage she now sits inside. She believed she was the hunter, not realizing she was becoming the prey of her own wicked intentions. She never thought the energy she pushed toward you would cycle back around and cling to her, a shadow she can't outrun. She thought she could send destruction out into the world and remain untouched by it, but the spiritual laws do not work that way. I want you to pause for a moment and let this truth settle in your spirit. If you feel the weight of these words, if you sense that this message was sent specifically for you, I ask you to leave a comment below. Type 1 I'm listening, or I receive this revelation to signal to the universe that you are awake and aware. By engaging, you help this message reach others who may be walking blindly beside hidden enemies. Your comment is a declaration that you are ready to see the truth, no matter how difficult it may be. 3 years, my child, 3 long years. That's how long this silent destruction has been growing inside her. Every moment she walked around thinking she succeeded, something inside her was quietly shifting, forming and developing into the very thing she is facing today. While she was smiling at you, this thing was taking root. While she was plotting against you, this condition was establishing itself. She spent 3 years believing she had gotten away with it, living in a false sense of security, unaware that her own body was keeping the score. But before you ask who she is or what she did, you must understand the weight of her intentions. She didn't act out of a moment of anger, nor did she make a mistake in the heat of a temporary emotion. Her actions were planned, calculated, and quietly designed, like a puzzle where only she understood the pieces. She spent time crafting this, she invested energy into your destruction. The envy she held toward you was not mild, it was deep, hidden behind carefully crafted smiles. She mastered the art of deception, presenting one face to you while harboring a completely different reality in her heart. While she complimented you in public, she judged you in her heart. While she acted supportive, she secretly hoped you would lose everything you were building. Every time you succeeded, she felt a pang of bitterness. Every blessing you received felt like a thorn she couldn't ignore. She watched you rise, and instead of being inspired, she felt diminished. And as your life shifted upward, her bitterness grew downward, rooting itself deeper into her spirit. She allowed this darkness to fester, refusing to deal with her own insecurities, and instead chose to project them onto you. Instead of healing her jealousy, she fed it. Instead of letting go of the resentment, she nurtured it. She treated her hatred like a prized possession, guarding it and letting it grow until it consumed her. She began observing you, not with admiration, but with the intention to find an opening. She became a student of your life, but for all the wrong reasons. She studied the way you moved through your day, noticed the scents you wore, the routines you followed, and the things you touched the most. She was looking for a vulnerability, a way to insert her poison into your existence. She memorized the smallest habits, thinking she was simply paying attention, not realizing that heaven was recording every thought, every intention, and every secret plan forming behind her eyes. She thought she was the only one watching, but she was being watched by a power far greater than she could comprehend. Her deception wasn't loud, it wasn't messy, and it wasn't reckless. It was quiet, my child, too quiet. It was the kind of quiet that makes darkness look innocent. She believed that subtle plans were safer and that silent schemes left no trace. She convinced herself that hidden steps guaranteed success, but nothing is hidden from divine sight. What she prepared for you was not something small, it wasn't a rumor, and it wasn't gossip, it wasn't a lie she spread to tear your reputation down. No, her plan was crafted with the goal of ending something vital in your life. She wanted to create a permanent stop to your progress. She thought she found the perfect method, a method where the cause couldn't be traced back to her. She wanted a method where no one could accuse her, a method where you would slowly break while she watched from a distance, pretending to be shocked, pretending to wonder what was happening to you. She wanted to play the role of the concerned friend while being the architect of your pain. She didn't realize that every thought she whispered in the dark was echoing in the realm she could not see. We are just beginning to uncover the truth of what happened. Stay with me, for the next part reveals exactly how her plan backfired and why you are still standing. She carried out her plan, executing the moment she thought was perfect with a precision that would chill your bones if you could have seen it. She believed this would be the day she finally gained control, the day she would see you weaken while she pretended to feel sympathy for your sudden misfortune. She walked into that situation thinking she was clever, thinking she was unstoppable, and believing she was smarter than the consequences that inevitably follow wicked actions. She had convinced herself that because she had planned it in silence, the result would be silence, and she would walk away with clean hands and a secret victory. She sat there, waiting for the signs of your destruction, waiting to see the fruit of her dark labor, completely unaware that the atmosphere in the room had already shifted against her. But my child, what she created for you never touched you, it did not graze your skin, it did not enter your spirit, and it did not disrupt your destiny. This was not because she made a clumsy mistake, or because she faltered in her steps, but because of divine interference that she never knew was surrounding you. You were under protection long before her plan even began to form, shielded by a covering that she could not see, and therefore could not account for. She was trying to fight a physical battle against a spiritual fortress, and she did not realize that the very moment she moved against you, she was moving against heaven itself. What she purchased, what she prepared, what she tried to transfer into your life, it all reversed the moment she tried to carry it out. There is a spiritual law that she ignored: when you dig a pit for the righteous, you often fall into it yourself. She did not feel the shift when it happened, she did not sense the danger looming over her own head. She did not see the way the very thing she intended for you cycled back and clung to her instead, attaching itself to her life like a parasite. It was subtle, invisible to the naked eye, but powerfully present in the spiritual realm. It happened through tiny particles she never noticed, a mistake so small she didn't even realize it had occurred. It was a touch she thought was harmless, a moment she dismissed as nothing, but in reality it was everything. That brief instant, that split second where she handled the weapon meant for you, sealed her fate without her even knowing it. She wiped her hands and moved on, thinking she was safe, thinking she was the victor, but she had just signed a contract with destruction that she could not cancel. For 3 years, my child, 3 years, what she meant for your destruction has been tearing her apart from the inside. It has been a slow, methodical unraveling, inch by inch, cell by cell. It has been quietly taking over her body and her spirit until the day came when it could no longer hide. She walked through those years thinking she had escaped judgment, thinking that because the lightning didn't strike immediately, it would never strike at all. But judgment does not always come with thunder, sometimes it comes with a slow, creeping silence that consumes you from within. That day is today. The silence has ended and the noise of her consequences is deafening. She is losing strength faster than she can accept, watching her vitality drain away like water through a sieve. The weight of her actions has finally returned to her doorstep, demanding payment for the debt she incurred 3 years ago. And now, as she holds that report in her trembling hands, the truth is crashing over her like a wave she cannot swim through, pulling her under the tide of her own making. Her eyes are swollen from crying, red with the exhaustion of regret that has arrived too late. Her chest tightens with a guilt she never expected to feel, not necessarily guilt for hurting you, but the crushing guilt of realizing she destroyed herself in the process. For the first time, she understands what she did. For the first time, the darkness she played with has shown its true face, and it is not the friend she thought it was. She is realizing that the enemy she partnered with has no loyalty, and the trap she set has snapped shut on her own ankle. You may wonder why she is suffering now, why this timeline has unfolded in this specific way. You may wonder what it means for you and why you were kept in the dark about her plot for so long. My child, listen closely. Her suffering is not for your entertainment. Do not look upon it with glee, but look upon it with understanding. It is a sign, a warning, a revelation, and most importantly, it is a reminder of how protected you truly are. It is visible proof that you do not need to fight your own battles because there is a force that fights them for you. Everything she crafted was blocked, every scheme was dismantled before it could mature, everything she wished upon you was intercepted by your spiritual guard before it could even reach your shadow. You were never in danger, not for a moment, not even for a second. Your life is guarded in ways you cannot see, protected in ways you cannot imagine, surrounded by forces you don't always feel, but are always present, standing watch while you sleep and while you wake. We continue now, deeper into the truth. Take a moment and prepare your heart, because what you are about to hear may change the way you see everything around you. The truth does not always arrive quietly or gently. It has a way of pulling back the curtain on what has been hidden, and once you recognize it, your perspective is never quite the same again. That is what is about to happen now, as we look at the history of this woman. This woman, the one clutching her report, the one whose tears cannot be stopped, the one who is slowly realizing the weight of her own choices, she wasn't always this way. There was a time when her heart still had softness in it, a time before the bitterness took root. There was a time when she admired you, when she looked at your life with genuine respect, when she looked up to you. She saw something in your spirit that she wished existed in herself, a light she craved but didn't know how to generate. But admiration is a slippery slope when it is not grounded in self-love. Admiration turned into comparison and she began to measure her worth against yours. Comparison turned into envy, acquired burning desire to have what you had. Envy turned into resentment, a deep anger that you possessed what she lacked. And resentment grew into something darker, something malicious that sought to level the playing field by destroying the competition. It became something that no human eye could see, yet heaven saw clearly every step of her descent. She never told anyone how she felt, she suffered in silence and plotted in silence. She wore kindness like a mask, a disguise so convincing that even you with your intuition believed it. She laughed with you, spoke gently, acted supportive and pretended to care, all while a storm was forming inside her, waiting for the perfect moment to break. She didn't want your downfall at first, what she truly craved was your life, your favor and your peace. She wanted the strength she saw in you and the grace that seemed to rest so effortlessly on your shoulders. She watched the way doors opened for you without you forcing them, and it confused her deeper than she could admit. She couldn't understand why someone like you, someone she secretly underestimated and thought was ordinary, would walk in the kind of protection and destiny most people never touch. That is where the root of this tragedy began, not with hatred, but with a twisted desire. She wanted what belonged to you. The moment that desire twisted into entitlement, she crossed a spiritual line her soul wasn't prepared to pay for. You see, my child, the people who envy you the most are never the ones far away, it is always the ones close enough to see the details of your life. Outsiders may hear about your blessings, but insiders witness them, and that proximity can be dangerous. The closer someone stands to your life, the easier it becomes for jealousy to take root if their heart is not clean. This woman stood close, much closer than she should have, and she watched you with a precision that was unnatural. She studied you not to learn from you, but to see where your vulnerabilities were. She noticed your routines not out of curiosity, but out of calculation, and she learned your patterns not to support you, but to use them against you. She knew the intricate details of your mornings, the way you prepared your things, the little items you loved, and the habits you never changed. She took all this information, gathered over years of friendship, and twisted it into a weapon. But before she made her final choice to harm you, something very specific pushed her over the edge. Something happened exactly 3 years ago, an event she never moved past, even though she acted like she did. It was a moment where you rose unexpectedly, a moment where your name was spoken in a room she thought belonged to her. A blessing came to you that she believed she deserved, and you received a breakthrough she thought should have been hers. Instead of celebrating, instead of clapping for you, and instead of letting gratitude shape her heart, jealousy swallowed her whole. She felt humiliated that life honored you before her, and she felt invisible the moment you were recognized. She felt small the moment you were lifted, and the sting of comparison became unbearable. Instead of healing, she let the bitterness grow until it covered everything she felt toward you. And so the plan began, not overnight, but slowly. Like a seed planted in the shadow of her thoughts, she told herself lies to justify it, convincing herself that you didn't deserve what you had. She whispered in her own mind that you were just lucky, not chosen. She built entire stories in her head to make her actions feel justified, telling herself that if people knew the real you, they wouldn't treat you this way. But darkness never stays small once you feed it. She made her decision on a day when she felt particularly overlooked. She felt threatened by your existence and overshadowed by your light, so she decided she would dim it herself. I want you to take a moment and reflect on the people in your circle. If you have ever felt a strange tension from someone close, trust that feeling. Leave a comment below saying, "I choose wisdom and discernment," or "I will guard my peace." Let those words be a reminder to stay alert and thoughtful in the relationships you build. Together, let's create a community that values wisdom, encouragement, and seeing situations with clarity. She wanted to control the timing of your downfall. She wanted it to look natural, like life was slowly draining you, not like someone had planned it. So she did something that changed everything. She obtained something harmful, something that should never have touched human skin. She believed it was the perfect weapon because it was silent, invisible, and impossible to detect. She didn't want a loud destruction, she wanted a quiet one, the kind that happens gradually and confuses doctors. In her arrogance, she performed the one act that sealed her fate. She tried to introduce that substance into something personal of yours, something you used daily and held close to your body without thinking twice. She believed this would be her victory. She believed she had outsmarted divine protection and that heaven wasn't watching. But my child, protection surrounds you like a wall. A wall she could never break through and didn't even know existed. The moment she tried to carry out her plan, the spiritual realm moved. A shield you didn't even know was around you, activated without a sound. In that exact moment, while she was preparing to harm you, a tiny fraction of what she handled slipped onto her own skin. She didn't notice it, she didn't feel it, and she wiped her hands like it was nothing. She never imagined that a mistake so small would echo into the future so loudly. That single moment became the beginning of her own unraveling. At first she felt normal, weeks went by, then months passed. She walked around thinking she had succeeded, thinking she had gotten away with something unforgivable. But unseen to her, the consequence had already rooted itself inside her body. It moved quietly, growing slowly, marking each year with a new stage until it reached the point she is at today. Now 3 years later, she is facing what she never expected. Her life is slipping away, not because of fate or bad luck, but because of her own hands. That is why she is shaking right now, and that is why she looks like someone buried under the weight of her own choices. Her heart is filled with the fear she cannot name, because deep down she knows the truth, even if she hasn't spoken it aloud. She knows this is not random, she knows this is not natural, and she understands that this is the shadow of her own actions returning to her. While she faces the reality of what she sowed, you must realize that you were protected from all of it. Every part of her plan, every attempt she made, and every intention she set against you failed. Nothing she prepared ever entered your life because you were surrounded by a shield she could not break. Now that you know her condition, you must understand what this means for you, because heaven never reveals something like this without a purpose. You are about to step into a season where the truth about many people will be uncovered. You will finally begin to see why certain relationships failed, why certain doors closed in your face, and why people you trusted suddenly distanced themselves. You will understand why your spirit felt uneasy around certain places, without knowing why. What was once hidden is coming to light, not to scare you, but to free you. For the last 3 years, something invisible has been following you, something that fought relentlessly to stop you from rising. Her action opened a shadow over your path, a cloud formed by her intention, her jealousy, and her bitterness. Even though the weapon she crafted couldn't touch your body, her hatred tried to cling to your atmosphere. You felt it in strange ways, days where you had no energy, nights where you cried without knowing why, and moments where heaviness sat on your chest for no reason. These were not random feelings, they were symptoms of the spiritual pressure trying to reach you, yet even then, my child, you were covered. Even when you didn't feel safe, you were safe, and even when life pushed you to your knees, heaven stood behind you like an army that cannot be defeated. You survived because you were chosen, and you survived because heaven assigned angels to your life long before you even asked for them. Do you remember the mornings where you woke up suddenly as if someone called your name but no one was there? That wasn't fear or coincidence, that was a divine presence checking on you, covering you and pulling you back from spiritual harm that tried to slip into your dreams. Now that the weight of her plan has been removed, your blessings will not simply return, they will multiply. The spiritual delay that held things back is gone. The dark cloud that followed you is gone, and the hidden interference that slowed your progress is dissolving. Watch closely, because heaven is shifting the timing of your life. Things that were stuck will begin to move, and things that were blocked will open. Where she wanted your destruction, God is bringing restoration, and where she wanted your downfall, God is bringing your breakthrough. You are going to experience divine compensation in the coming weeks. Everything that was delayed is coming quicker than you expect, and every blessing that was blocked is being unlocked all at once. You survived spiritual warfare that should have broken you, and because you endured, you will now be rewarded openly. What was meant to destroy you will now become the reason you rise, and what was meant to break you will now elevate you. Watch for 3 specific signs, because each one will confirm that your new season has begun. First, you will feel a sudden peace that makes no sense. You will wake up one day feeling lighter, your mind will be quiet, and your spirit will feel calm. Second, a new opportunity will appear with surprising ease. Something that once seemed impossible will begin to unfold naturally, without the struggle you expected. Third, a new person will cross your path. Someone with genuine kindness and sincere intentions will become part of your journey and encourage you in the season ahead. My child, you are entering a season where you do not have to carry every burden on your own. Even when you cannot see it, God is working behind the scenes, making a way where there seemed to be none. Your tears have been seen. Your hardships have not been forgotten. Every moment you chose to keep going has mattered. You endured what could have broken you, and now you are stepping into a season of renewed hope, strength, and unexpected blessings. If this message has spoken to your heart and encouraged your spirit, don't let this moment slip away. I invite you to subscribe to this channel today and become part of a community that seeks hope, encouragement, and faith-filled inspiration. Stay with us so you don't miss the next message on this journey.